I want to tell this story because so many of us lose loved ones and we don't know how to get comfort. And yet they are with us always. And so even though we can't see them, they are around us. And so I have this beautiful story that happened with one of my clients. And he's a young man who lost his father. And was extremely depressed and sad about it and didn't really have any motivation in life. And so he's working with a talk therapist counselor. And so this therapist counselor thought maybe some body work would do him well to get the trauma out of the body. And this counselor is someone who refers me a lot, and he knows that I am also intuitive and that quite often I can get messages from the other side. So this young man and his mom came to me, and it was the most beautiful thing because the first treatment that we had, I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know their story. I didn't know he lost a father. I didn't know he was depressed or anything like that. When people come to me, they try to just come to me, sit down, they hear what I'm going to do, and then they release on the table, and their body will tell the story of what's going on so that they can connect the dots of why they are so sad, and also at the same time release any trauma that's in the tissue. So it's a real amazing therapy, very therapeutic. So I was working on this young man, and right away I felt deep sadness on his tissue. And again, I didn't know anything about him. So deep sadness, and sadness about his father, and sadness so deep that he doesn't even know how to function in life. And so we went through, and I thought, well, instead of sitting here and telling him what his body's telling me, I'm sad, I miss my father, all this stuff, I decided to just say, breathe in through your heart, love for yourself, and think of something you love, and he thought of his animals at home. And I go, and now breathe that any sadness out, and breathe in peace. Think of somewhere you love to be peaceful and breathe that out. So we did this for about an hour, and he was breathing, and he was totally into it. And I just kept telling him, you are doing great. Oh my gosh, each breath you're taking, I told the young man, you are healing. And I kept going, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And he's like breathing and releasing, and his body was releasing and telling me a story. But the beautiful thing was, the last half hour, I usually do Reiki with clients. And so I got him into a comfortable place, and I led him on this guided meditation up to the light where he's really relaxed. Well, he was so relaxed, I heard him snoring, and I thought, oh, that's sweet. So I just stayed there, and I just put my hands on his head and the back of his head and his shoulders and his knees and his hips and his feet, and just kind of got that energy flowing. And when he was done, he sat up and he goes, wow, someone was trying to call my name. He goes, I wasn't sleeping, even though I think I was sleeping, but I wasn't. I feel like I was up in heaven or something, and someone was calling my name. And I said, oh, I wonder who that was. He goes, I don't know. I woke up before I got to see who was calling my name. He goes, but I felt all this electric energy running through my body. And it was so sweet because he was really sad, and he kept doing this with his face. He goes, and I feel so happy. I feel so happy. And he's like tapping his face, and he's like, I feel so happy. And I go, well, you've been given a gift today. And I said, you released a lot of sadness in your body, and also you had a lot of divine intervention and a lot of healing in your body. And so he just was like, I love this. So him and his mom left, and they had 3 sessions with me, kind of already booked. So they came back the next time. And on this next time, he's all in. Like the first time he was kind of like, what is this about? Now he's like out feeding the alpacas, and he's holding my little dog, Emmy, and he's like, bye mom, I'm fine. So he gets on my table, and I put on the nice music, and I start to work on his body. And again, just different things are coming out of his body. And I just kept telling him to breathe in love for yourself and breathe out any pain or sadness. And so we did that again for about an hour, and we went into Reiki again. So I led him on the guided meditation again up to the light. And this time I actually saw his father and him walking around in heaven, is what I would describe it as, just walking and talking. And I just, I'm just there with my hands. I'm kind of a conduit, right? I'm just providing space for this beautiful moment. Put my hands on his head, and I'm seeing this beautiful thing. And I thought, my gosh, he is getting healing, and he's having a conversation with his dad. So we did this for about a half hour, and during the Reiki, I felt the wind blow outside, and it didn't feel like just normal wind. It actually kind of blew up against my front door. And I was like, gosh, that feels like his father's here. Like just the spirit of his father. And I was like, okay, all right. And so I didn't say anything. And then another big gust of wind came and it blew up against my door. And I was like, wow, I'm trusting that his father is here and he is here to provide his son with some love. Then a third gust of wind came and it blew so hard that I felt it blow through my office weirdly. And I was like, how could I feel the wind in my office? But because I do this for a living, I knew that was a divine intervention. And then as soon as this big gust of wind blew, I just felt all this love and tingliness through my whole body. And I had my hands on his feet at the time, and it all went into this young man. And I was like, oh my gosh, he is getting so much love from his father, for just a message of love. So I was like, thank you, thank you. And so afterwards I finished up and the young man sat up and I said, well, how did that feel? And he goes, I'm very relaxed. And I said, did you hear anything or did you see anything? He goes, I actually saw my father. I go, you did? What did he say? He said he's very happy. And he said that I can't come to where he's at and I need to be brave and stay down on earth and live a very strong life, and that he is here for me always. And I said, wow, did that message make you sad or happy? He goes, very happy. I go, why did it make you happy? He said, because he's always with me and he told me to be strong and brave, and so I'm gonna be. And I said, that's a beautiful message. And so we just kind of finished up. And so while he was kind of walking back to the waiting room, I had gotten to the waiting room before and told his mom. I said, we had a beautiful session. And when I opened the door to the waiting room, which is part of our house, she looked like almost like she had seen a ghost. And I said, what's up? And she goes, did you feel those 3 gusts of wind? And I said, well, tell me what you're thinking. And she goes, well, the first one came and it wasn't wind. She said, it felt like spiritual. And I said, it felt like your husband. She goes, yes. And I said, okay. And she goes, and then another one came and it like blew all around me. And she just said it felt again like there was someone here, a presence. She goes, I felt this heaviness on my shoulders. And when the third gust of wind came and it was so fierce, it literally opened up the screen door and the regular door are like this. It opened up the screen door and opened up the regular door, and that wind circled around me. And I felt all this love. And I said, I can't believe you're telling me this, because I felt the same thing in my office. Now, my office is about 600 yards away from the waiting room. So we were having 2 of the same experiences at the same time, but in different places. And I said, that is beautiful. And then she actually said, and there was a squirrel running up and down the tree, and I felt like he wanted to tell me something. And she goes, this is also weird. And I said, it's not weird. It's actually, trust what you're feeling. She goes, well, I feel it was my husband giving me a message that we're going to be okay. And I go, well, I believe that too. And your son has something to tell you. And so he said, Mom, Dad came to visit. And the mom goes, he did? And he said, yes. And he told me to be brave and that I need to live strong on this earth. And it's not my time to go, that I need to stay and be brave, and that he will help me on earth and help me be strong. And she burst into tears, and the young man burst into tears, and they're hugging and I'm crying. And my dog Summer is loving on both of the clients. So she's going from one, putting her head and going on another one. And as we are speaking about this amazing wind that we all were getting the same message about, that it was a very spiritual message, the wind blows again so fierce that we heard this big clunk on the top of my roof. And she said, see? She goes, there it goes again. And I said, yes, these are all messages that you guys are going to be okay, and that your deceased husband is around and he is watching over you. And so they left and I left them thinking, wow, we live in a very spiritual world, and we sometimes put blinders on, because if we can't see something with the senses that we think, touching it, seeing it with our eyes, tasting it, feeling it with our hands, then we feel like something doesn't exist. But when you step into the wonder mystery life and you allow yourself to see divine intervention, and you allow yourself to receive divine messages, will you get a whole deeper level and meaning of life, that this too shall pass, this life shall pass, and we are all going to be in a beautiful place, and we are all supporting each other, no matter if we're on this earth or if we're just behind the veil, is how I like to say it. So I wanted to share that beautiful story of the wonder and mystery of life. And if you've lost a loved one, know that they are literally by your side, just encouraging you and loving on you. I know that because I get to do this for a living. But I wanted to share this with all of you out there, to trust that if you just step out of your thinking brain and trust any kind of signs or synchronicities that are coming, if you, and I've talked about this before, if you feel the wind but you feel a message come, well then that's a beautiful message. Or if you see a butterfly and a message, or if you see a cloud and there's a message, it's the message that comes. We see clouds and butterflies and we feel wind all the time. But when a message comes with it, trust it. It's a divine message for you, for your healing. Thank you and have a great day.